All right, everybody, welcome back to part two. My conversation, sort of about Joe's recovery story, but more than that, I think just about the fact that we're both clinicians kind of doing this work. Joe on the other side of his journey. And I'm Charlie Merrill. I guess I'd call myself a mind body physical therapist. And Joe Molyneux, who lives in Manchester in the UK. Would you call yourself a mind body occupational therapist? What do you call yourself?
Suppose so. Yeah. I would call
You
myself a mind and
you
body
like
therapist.
you
Yeah,
like you like the ring of that? Yeah.
I
Okay.
like that. Yeah, I like that.
Cool. And before we press record, Joe, you were talking about your holiday that you just took to Canada and came over towards me a little bit. And as you and I know, one of the symptom behaviors we often see when people go on vacation is that their symptoms get better when they're out of their normal environment and routine.
Yeah,
Miraculously the symptoms go away only to come back when you go back to your life.
yeah,
For some people it's exactly the opposite, right? So we can never like count on these symptom behaviors to be clear cut. But you were sharing that the first thing you shared was that you found yourself kind of maybe getting a little hard on yourself around exercise when you were traveling and trying to like fit it in and make it happen,
yeah,
and you caught yourself. And maybe you can just share more about that
yeah,
experience.
yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, since the start of my recovery, I've once I got let's say when I got an understanding about things and how the nervous system was acting and creating symptoms for me. Let's say I made peace with that, and I sort of fell back in love with exercise again, but I exercised continuously and non-stop, which isn't a bad thing, by the way, but maybe there was an element of me stopping and being a little bit fearful of stopping. And what I mean by that is maybe subconsciously I felt like if I stopped exercising, I'd maybe go back to how I was before. And it's took a while to kind of decipher that. And I booked this trip to Canada back in March for 2 weeks. Spent a very short time in the States in Michigan. And right at the start of the holiday, I was staying at a cousin's place and they had a gym on there. So I thought, oh, maybe when I get up in the morning, I can get up and I can do a workout. Nothing strenuous, just a circuit, um, 20 minutes. So I did the first day. Well, it would have been the next day because of the time difference. I did a workout, followed by some mindfulness, some somatic therapy, lying on a yoga mat, and I did it again the second day. And I had a bit of a moment. Let's say I just had a bit of a pause and thought, I've got this 2 week break. By the way, like since going self-employed 5 years ago, I've probably not had. I've never taken 2 weeks off. So for me, that was quite new. And
Wow.
yeah, it was a bit of a wow moment as well, to be honest, because I thought, wow, I've actually taken the plunge and I'm having 2 weeks off where I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Scheduled all my posts, so I wasn't doing any work while I was very fully absorbed into this holiday. But I wasn't. I was still training, still exercising, so there was still that fear aspect. So it was kind of like it was great because again, it was a learning curve for me. I was able to stop and go, do I actually need to train? Rest's important as well, but I probably haven't even had a full week off um, in terms of rest from exercise in months. So I thought, I'm gonna take a rest. I'm not gonna train for the rest of the holiday. And yeah, the brain was chomping at the bit for about a week or so. It was like, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Why aren't you training? So let's send you a few more signals. Let's scare you a little bit more. And I kind of let my hair down a bit. I had a few drinks every day, maybe drank a bit more than I normally would at home. But I was kind of fine with that. I just carried on with my holiday, the more the holiday progressed, the more activities I was doing. I was saying I went to Michigan, I watched a ball game, I went to Niagara Falls, did loads there, I went to a haunted house, and then I hit a bit of a stumbling block on the last day, saying early, wasn't I? I flew with Air Canada, and I booked this trip back in March, so booked it well ahead. Checked in the night before we were supposed to come home. And when I checked the ticket, it said SBY. So I did all this Google. I was like, SB, not Googling conditions this time, Googling what's going on with my flight. And it said you're on standby. So after several conversations with Canada, they said you're not guaranteed a seat. I was like, hang on a minute, I've booked this trip in March, right? I paid for the tickets. So that set off a bit of a chain reaction for me. I didn't sleep very well. I had some IBS symptoms, which it's anxiety. That's not, I can decipher that link as well. When I'm stressed and I'm anxious, stomach might be a bit dicky, funny, So that
These
kind
these
of
are all
changed.
these are all familiar symptoms from your journey from the
Oh
past.
yeah. Past experiences, yeah. Don't bother me one bit.
And you were
Uh,
able to see them that way pretty quickly in the
I always
moment.
have done. Yeah, I always have
Yeah,
done with when I've had a bit of a funny stomach episode. I'm like, stressed, I'm anxious at the minute.
that makes sense. Okay.
And it passes dead quick. It doesn't
Yeah.
last because I can understand what's going on there really easily. Doesn't stop me from doing anything, doesn't wipe me out. I crack on with my day dead easy. Doesn't really cause me any pain or anything.
And that's different from someone that might have like a new symptom in that situation, because the
yeah,
brain
sure.
the brain knows that old symptom doesn't scare you anymore, so it
Yeah,
decides to pick a new one. And so people watching might be familiar with that phenomenon where it's like, oh
yeah,
no, I don't know this symptom, this is a new one.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
you didn't have that scenario.
Didn't really have that scenario. I just thought I might be a bit rough tomorrow, But so then I think it's the next day. Then I carried on with my day, but I felt like I was a little bit off. But I kept going. I kept going and going. Got to the airport, and my other half, she could tell I was getting a little bit stressed at the airport because I said, go back up to the desk and ask what's going on. Are they going to give us a ticket? I must have asked her several times to the point where I was like, right, you need to have a word with yourself a minute. And she was like, do some meditation, listen to some meditation. Never done that before. She's like, just calm down, it'll be fine. That was fine. And then we got obviously we got on the flight because I'm home. We got the tickets. I got on the flight. I used to be quite an anxious flyer, not so much anymore. Absolutely fine on the way home. We flew back into London to get back to Manchester, and I think we both slept for about 14 hours when we got home.
Wow.
And for a couple of days, I felt like I don't want to say old self. I just felt like there was nothing there. I was absolutely strange feeling like, oh, I'm absolutely fine. I've not done any meditation, any mindful, not done anything, not done a thing. Just kind of I'm not going to do. I kind of said I'm not going to do anything now. Going to crack on, and everything's got milder and milder. And then I probably haven't been to the gym, but I went and did Krav Maga last night. I've not been for 2 weeks, and I thought, I wonder if anything will come up. I wonder if the brain will remind me. Absolutely nothing. Slept pretty well. So, things are really really improving. It's kind of weird. Like I said to you before, didn't I? I've been cracking the lower back quite a lot. Something that really gives me a bit of a relief. I wouldn't do that so much before. Having a good stretch, shoulders crack a lot. Nothing to be fearful of, but like for me, I feel great after it.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything.
It's a good release, just a good release of gas pressure, right? You get that reflexive muscle relaxation.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get temporary change. Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. I was doing it daily when I was in Canada. Just in the car, I just hold on to give it a good crack, and I was like, oh, I felt great. And every time there was a little bit of anxiety there. I'd go, well, this is a body here, it's moving. I'm moving. I'm not still. I'm safe.
Yeah.
But I think, like going forward now, I'm probably just going to resume with things as normal. Like just doing a lot of meditation before bed and stuff like that, but I kind of don't feel like I need to do it as much now. If I could
That's
just,
really interesting because the way you
yeah,
describe that, we call those like, even though you're doing mind body strategies or whatever you want to call them, they still turn into fixing behaviors, don't they?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
they
you
do.
become dependent on them
Yeah,
and you feel like you need them every day. And it's not that they're bad to do, but just like with exercise, the intention and the mindset around how you approach them
yeah.
is important,
It
isn't
is, and
it?
that's exactly it. That's what I was getting at as well. I thought, well, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to do what I'd normally do: train, exercise, work. Um, you know, the it was before I went away. I had just had a little bit of tension in the neck. That's just completely gone. I knew what it was down to. Probably overtraining. I've been overtraining as well.
Before your
And
trip, you were
yeah,
training a
before
lot
for like I was saying before, I was training an awful lot. I've not
because
really
you're
given myself
excited.
any.
Because you're
Yeah, this
excited
is
to be
it. This is
back.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. Like every day, training, exercising. And given the rest as well. I remember. I don't know if it was sciatica. Maybe I had it about maybe 2021, 22. Just had it in the left hip, and
Mhm.
it was dead annoying. Like it's annoying, isn't it? It's not. I
So
find it
annoying.
annoying. And I was able to think back to that time when I had it, and I was doing a lot of stretching and stuff, and it just went overnight. And I think at the time I was probably stressed, and I've had it for about a month again, and it's eased again, just from being on holiday and just not doing anything as much. Um, but in terms of everything's kind of settled.
Things coming and going. I sort of
Yeah,
describe
just
this phenomenon as like, do symptoms really go away or do they just go dormant? Do they become a memory? Do they, do you fully recover from them? Bessel van der Kolk's famous book, The Body Keeps the Score, right? This idea
yeah,
that there's memory there. So yeah, I mean, things can light up, but I appreciate you sharing how you're able to navigate it with a really different mindset. There's not a lot of
yeah,
fear.
yeah.
You see what's happening, you catch it, you reassure yourself, and it goes away pretty quickly.
Goes away. Even with I know a lot of people fear muscle twitching, don't they? Which again comes
Mhm.
on because of a dysregulated nervous system, brain,
Often.
say.
Yep. Yep.
And I get that now and again, but it doesn't bother me. I've had it in my quads today, but I'm like, oh, right, it's there, okay. Not bothered.
I find
It's
it
not, not,
fascinating when it happens to
not
me.
hurting me.
I
Yeah,
kind of enjoy it. Like it'll happen in
yeah,
my
yeah,
tricep, and I'm like, oh, that feels
yeah,
kind of cool,
yeah, yeah,
And so just that different reaction to
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
symptom results in it going away versus someone who becomes very vigilant and fearful, and the nervous system just learns that and continues to run it as a habit, right?
That's it. And what I tend to find with muscle twitching, I don't know if yourself, resting, probably the same yourself. When we're resting, we can feel it a bit more. It could be
Especially
extra.
after hard training, like
Yeah,
after, yeah.
absolutely. Hard training, stress.
Mm.
I can feel it when I'm in bed. I'm like, oh, here it is again. But I'm like, rather than, I think what a lot of people tend to do, don't they, is let's get on the phone and let's have a look at Google. I've got muscle twitching. Wonder what this is. Is it ALS? Is it MND? I think this is what people do, don't they? And I think, like, I remember back in the midst of my things, and I think the kind of light bulb moment was like, well, it's been 3 or 4 months now, and I'm gaining strength. Now, if I had a neurodegenerative disease, I wouldn't be gaining strength. I wouldn't be putting weight on it. I'd be getting weaker. And I think you can look at
Yeah,
it like that as well, can't you?
for sure, for sure. Well, to go back to your story about training on holiday, I think that's really important for people to just hear you share that experience that you almost had to give yourself permission to take it down. And I always tell people like you don't notice these parts of yourself. You don't notice these barriers until you start living your life again.
Yeah,
And you continue to have opportunities, don't you, to
yeah,
recognize these thought patterns and
yeah,
feelings and behavior patterns
yeah,
as you start living your life again,
yeah,
and you continue to catch them and you continue to do
yeah,
work to be like, oh wow, that's so interesting.
yeah,
I'm being hard on myself that
yeah,
feel like I need to train through my whole holiday. It's like
yeah.
give yourself a break, man.
And like you always say, you're retraining the brain again, and when you can have that light bulb moment, and then it helps you to like think back to past experiences, and you can make sense of it a bit more. Whereas if you're in overdrive all the time, you can't quite do that because maybe if I hadn't have had this holiday, I'd have carried on training the same way I was doing, and it's all part of the process, isn't it? And I think as well, like I didn't get up what it was 8 hour flight as well on the way, but I didn't get up once. I sat down
Mm,
for 8 hours. I'm not recommending that to people, but I kind of, because I was in the middle, I thought the people at the side were asleep. I was like, I didn't need the toilet wait, strangely enough. I thought I need the toilet, but I didn't.
wow.
Well, I thought I really made me think about when I was scared of sitting down, because I'd get a sensation. I'm like, I'm giving myself some brownie points here. I thought I just sat down on a plane for 8 hours and I haven't got up. Yeah, it was a bit uncomfortable, but I've just sat down for 8 hours. That's
Amazing.
incredible. I couldn't do that
Amazing.
for 10 minutes when I was
I
in the
mean,
worst.
right? We tell people like sitting isn't dangerous, right? There's a point where the brain is doing its job to say, "Hey, man, you've been
Yeah,
sitting a long time. Could you get up now?"
get up
But
and move. Yeah,
what is that point? Is it an hour? Is it three
yeah.
hours? But you just as you just shared, there's nothing dangerous about
No,
sitting on
no,
an airplane for 8 hours, and your brain can
no.
cancel. Your brain just cancels that
Yeah.
tendency,
Oh,
right? It's just like,
yeah. He's
what are we
sat
gonna
down
do?
for 8 hours. Maybe it is safe.
Yeah.
I think my kind of protocol because I work from home on a desk. I try to get up every hour or set myself a task. Sorry, if I'm writing a report. I might think, right, well, this report's going to take me an hour. I'm going to sit down for an hour and then I'm going to reward myself by getting up and moving around. I might have a cup of tea. I might go more around the block. I might go in the yard and stretch. That's my reward afterwards. You know,
Yeah, that's brilliant. The other thing that you sort of hinted at when we started our conversation was this fear of, now that I'm exercising again, now I'm worried, and this ties to health anxiety, which we covered last
yeah,
time, right?
sure,
Now
yeah,
I'm worried that if I stop, I'm going to lose the ability to do that. So now there's like, and you and I spent a lot of time talking about like, are you exercising for the right reasons? Do you have the right mindset? Do you have the right intention? And it was like, yes, yes, yes. Like we made sure of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And yet here you are months later, right? With another opportunity to say,
yeah,
huh, like I still have a little bit of fear that I can't
yeah,
stop.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's amazing. I think like to be able to understand that because there was an element of maybe I'll take the rest of the week off, but I thought I've had a couple of weeks off. That's enough because I wasn't going to go to my class last night. I was tired and I went and participated in the class and I felt amazing after it. And that was my other half. She had boxing last night. I had my combat martial arts.
mm-hmm.
And I think she got in from work about 5 and she was like, I said, are you training? And she said, and then she looked at me and I was like, because we're probably a little bit jet lagged still. And we were like, and she went, no, we're going. You'll thank me afterwards. And I went and I felt great after it. I had a
Yeah.
buzz. Um, I knew I'd sleep
Actually,
well.
exercise is pretty reliable. It always makes me
Yeah,
sad when people can't access it, and
yeah,
it's part of the work that you and I do
yeah,
is really supporting people in trusting that they can
yeah,
do that again and giving
yeah,
them confidence to
yeah,
prove it to themselves. I uh I'm having this conversation with myself all the time around exercise, like on a day-to-day basis. Like, what do I want to do? Is this fun? Am I going to enjoy this? Is this really going to fill me up today? Or am I doing this because I should, or because it's what I've always done, or because is it coming from a place of fear, right? And lately, I haven't been feeling the normal call to endurance sports that I
yeah,
usually have. So I've been having to really give myself permission to not get on my bike, to not go for a run, and to just be like, it's fine. I'm going to take a break, take a natural break, and do some other things. And maybe they'll come back. Hopefully it'll come back. Maybe it won't. But
yeah.
like I'm just riding this out, and I'm using all the skills that I teach my clients to use. Right, which is like I'm not going to do it if it's
It's
not
not in line
lighting
with
me
you.
up.
No, it's not, you're
Yeah.
not in line with it at the minute. And, there's probably we're sharing quite a bit of a comparison there to me being on holiday. And, we've both allowed ourselves to take that time from it. I had some of them thoughts yesterday. I was like, I finished my class and I thought, am I truly in line with going back to the gym and lifting weights? Or maybe I just want to do the combat martial arts a few times a week and do a run. But at the same time, I like, and I was like, well, I like lifting weights. I like feeling strong. I like putting a t-shirt on in it. You feel big in it. It's just a feeling. Yeah, you feel like the Hulk afterwards. You're like, I feel big,
Yeah,
and
swole.
yeah, I'm swole. Like, I don't really care about having abs. It's more around, I like having shoulders and a back. For me, it's like Tom Hardy. That kind of look. It's like, but I do, but I don't. Am I doing it for the right reasons? And I think it does very much come down to your mindset and how you talk to yourself before and after, the session. And I think I had an interesting conversation with a chap I'm doing some work with at the minute. He's a doctor, a lifestyle doctor. He's really, really good. And we're talking about exercising and, a lot of stuff we do around fear. And if you get these little niggles, rather than downing tools and stopping exercising because you've adapt the exercise. I think I had a dodgy knee or a dodgy hip a while back, and I changed. I think I was doing back squats, and I ended up doing single leg exercises for legs and everything. I thought, well, I'll see how I get on. I'll assess it month by month. I'll do this for 4 weeks, and then if things start settling down, then I'll gradually go back to doing back squats again. Um, you don't have to stop altogether. You don't have to fear what's actually happening. This is just
Yeah.
the brain.
Yeah.
Something's happening.
So I, it would be really easy for me to slip into like, maybe I'm done with cycling. Maybe I'm done with running. Maybe I just don't like it anymore. Right. The worst case scenario outcome, and that could happen, right? But more
Yeah,
likely
yeah,
it's the truth, the more like true and helpful
yeah,
thought is, I've been doing this a while and I probably need a natural break, a
yeah,
seasonal natural break. And I'm feeling like I'm a little bored and burned out of
yeah,
doing those things, and that's okay. And if I can not attach too strongly to them, it's even more likely that they're going to naturally come back and I'm going to
yeah.
be excited and have that fire again whenever
Get
I'm called. You know?
yeah. It's like get that bite back, get that enthusiasm back for that exercise. And I think that's probably why it was the same as you. It was probably important that I had that break, those couple of weeks off, because I'll go to the gym tonight, and maybe I won't have. Maybe I'll get there and I'll go, why have I come? Or maybe I'll go there, I'll do the session, and afterwards it'll be like, I'm glad I went. I enjoyed that. It was a good session. I
But it's
tend
kind
to
of a
go,
it's kind of a kind of moving target, isn't it? Like it's
yeah,
like you can't always count on it being
yeah.
your favorite thing in the world,
You
day to day.
you
It
can't you
changes.
can't. I go through cycles like you do. Like
Mhm.
I've got a gym that I've trained at for years, but it doesn't have a pool, it doesn't have a sauna. And sometimes I'll think, oh, do you know what? I'd love a pool and a sauna just to finish after my session. I'll leave that particular gym. I'll try another gym. I end up going back to the original one again because I like the community. I like the people in there. I have a good session. Um, so maybe it isn't. It's a change of cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I sort of attribute, I never want to project this onto other people, but as I've gotten into my 50s, I've really attributed my ability to stay active and healthy to bringing a lot of variety into my movement practice compared to when I was in my 20s and 30s, where I was very monostructural. I was like, I do these
Yeah,
things and I do them a lot, right?
yeah,
Now I give myself permission to flex in and out of things and to put this away and pick this one back up. And I just feel like it just feels so right to me. It makes me think that our nervous systems are wired for variety. Like, even though sometimes we don't give them that, and we're like, I'm going to do this thing and do this thing, get really good at it. I think naturally our nervous systems crave variety. Do you experience that?
yeah, yeah. It does. I tend to find that when I hit a bit of a plateau in the gym, it wants me to change things up a bit.
Mhm.
It's asking me. I've only kind of probably made more analysis of that more recently, you know. I often do. At the minute, even I'm just thinking actually tonight. I think I might do a circuit. I'm going to do a pull workout, but I thought I'm going to do a circuit because it's quick, it's fast. I'll burn a lot of calories. Whereas before I was going to the gym, I do a pull session. It was a more of a bodybuilding routine, but I was getting a bit bored of it, you know. I like things to be fast and explosive. That's why I enjoy squats and deadlifts. Really enjoy them, you know. Funnily, funnily enough, actually, the brain's amazing, though, isn't it? Asking us to change. Like we did. So last night when I did my Krav Maga class, at the end, like you work on your movements during the class, and then at the end we put everything together with your partner. And there's an exercise we do where if you're on the attack, you know or in the defense, so it'd be the defense because I'll have my eyes closed, and then your opponent's going to strike you. You've got to defend yourself but strike at the same time. So he spun me around, and then I opened my eyes, and I didn't know what move he was going to do. He gave me a move, but my brain remembered how to defend it. I said to the guy, "How's it, mate? I don't know how I did that. I just did this move and countered at the same time." I was like, "That was amazing. That was amazing. How did I do
That's
that?"
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
The other thing that's so interesting, right? People, as they're going through this process, they worry that they've gotten really deconditioned because they haven't been able to do things.
yeah,
And my experience is that the brain somehow preserves fitness different from, you know, if you've had surgery or if you've been in a coma, or as I say, you've been in like outer space. Like you don't lose fitness in the traditional sense.
yeah,
And athletes especially worry that I haven't been able to do this for a long time. You know, it's going to take forever to get
yeah,
back, and
yeah,
that's just more fear.
yeah,
I haven't had that experience with a lot of my clients. They when they come back to doing whatever they want to be doing, they find that it's not that long a road
yeah,
to get back their skill and their fitness. Like there's a
yeah,
memory there,
yeah,
and once those neural circuits light back up, it's like I'm back. And does it take a little time to, like, you know, get back in the swing? Sure, but especially with skill sports, like I was on the slack line last night for the first time in like a bunch of months, and the last time I did it, I was just like struggling with a little bit. I'd like lost a little ground, and then I put it away for a few months. I got back on it last night and I was like, even better.
yeah.
I'd
What a
like
better route. Yeah,
gotten past that plateau and I was like, oh, wow, I haven't done this in 2 months and somehow I improved. Weird.
yeah. But you've kind of. I think there's nothing better from doing something like that. Bit of rest, bit of processing what's happening at the minute. I'd not bench pressed for like 100 kilo for maybe 8 months. I think I was messaging you before I went away, and I said I think I'd gone from benching 60 to about. I thought I wasn't going to bench 90. I thought I haven't benched in 8 months. I thought I'll have a go at 90, and I think I got 3 to 5 reps on it, and I thought I'll easily hit 100 when I get back. But I used to, the brain is great at remembering that muscle memory. I thought I'll never bench strong again, but I thought, right, here we go. I'm going to get everything back up again. Everything's that neural circuit lit back up again. Oh, he's benching. He can do this.
Yeah.
He'll be.
Yeah.
I might even bet. Yeah, I'll go in tomorrow. I might even just bench 100 straight away. I'll have a go. But
It's like once you have the ability to do something, you kind of have the ability to do it. You know, it's not like it goes away or you completely lose it, which I think
yeah.
is kind of cool. I think it's good for people to hear, you know?
Oh, I do as well. And I think I might just touch. Do you want to touch a little bit on the emotional aspects of things as well?
I
Um,
love that.
Yeah, like I've had a little. So obviously we've worked quite closely together, and we discussed a lot about my issues with with my dad over the years, and I've been giving out a lot of food for thought recently, and I think the holidays done me a world of good. Like I think it was a couple of days ago, I was sat in the bath. You tend to be when you have your downtime, you're thinking. I was thinking, you know what? I've kind of since my mum and dad's divorce, which was probably about 10 years ago, I think. Well, the split up, but I've had a there's been a lot of back and forth there with me. You know, I'd speak to my dad, something had happened, I'd cut him off. It's like a bit of a merry-go-round for years, really. And I think when my system started, that was my brain saying, "That's enough. You've got to stop now. You've got to make a stand. You've." This is what I thought the other day. I thought that's probably what's happened. Like I build myself back up for a couple of years, and then with the right mindset, and because he hasn't changed, it ends up going back to how it was before again, and that keeps happening again. So I think my brain has gone, I've had enough of this, Joe. You can't do all the work. It's got to come from your dad as well. So
Takes two to tango.
Takes two to tango, and I think that's what's happened this time. I think he's just, and I just thought that is amazing. And that's probably what has happened. And it's like I can close the chapter on that now because I know I've tried all over the years. I've kept becoming a better version of myself. Sounds a bit cliche, but you know, things have improved for me as a character. I thought I can't go back to that again. I think my brain's told me the same thing as well. And what's come out the other end of it is my relationship with my mum. You know, it's really improved. Like you know, the best it's ever been. Like we're very close now. You know, kind of we were able to talk more now, and you know, for me that's been really important. You know, to the fact that you know even she'll laugh if she watches it, but she'll laugh if she watches a podcast. So I'll say to her like, I was even able to ask like, because I used to get a bit disappointed about her not coming down to see me, you know, to the house and stuff. But it was obviously now I'm in a position where I can talk to her. It's because she, you know, she's an anxious driver. So because we don't live very close, so I said, well, I'll just pick you up. I'll pick you up and then you can come down, you can have dinner. We can spend a bit of time together. So
Sweet.
I wasn't able to do that before. So that's definitely really improved things. And I'm kind of at that. I've accepted things how they are with my dad, you know, tried and I've tried. And
yeah. So what does that mean then for you and your dad, Joe? Does that mean that you like cut off the relationship, or that you just limit the contact, or that you change your expectations? Like, because this can look different for everyone in their relationship.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not obviously telling everybody to cut the parent off, but you know, I think in terms of the way I sort of foresee things now is I've gone through a process where I've had that time apart, then I've lowered my expectations. That didn't work. Now I'm at the point where I'm at the cut-off point. I've decided the relationship's done because you know, he's not going to change. So he won't change how he is because he would have done already. My mum's changed the way she is with me. So, you know, we've got to better it, but he hasn't. So I've gone through a process to get to this point, which I am fine with. Like, even like my other half now, I think she like, we're just going back to the stress around the plane and stuff. She was able to recognize, are you okay? You're a bit quiet. I think, do you want to talk about it? You know, and I was able to, I think I'm just a bit stressed about the travel. So that's what it is. I said, I'm stressed about the travel. Nothing, you know, nothing to do with my dad or anything like, or anything else. It's just, I think it's the travel. I think that's what it is. But she was able to ask me, you know, do you want to talk about it? So there's improvements in a lot of relationships.
Your awareness,
and awareness,
and your awareness that there might be other things at play when you're feeling that way.
But I'd always say, you know, a lot of people experience problems with parents. You know, I'd always say try your best. But you know, if enough's enough, you know, only you can make that decision. But for me, I'm at peace with that. I've accepted that. I can't have a relationship with him.
Because and I'm assuming that's because you feel like you have to compromise your own values. You have to sacrifice yourself to be in relationship with that person, and you're not willing to do that anymore.
I'm not willing to do that, no, and I think there's been plenty of opportunities, you know, for that person to change his ways, do things. They've had a lot of opportunities to do that as well. A lot of help from other people, which they they've kind of abused. So
And direct conversations, like you've
yeah,
been open and direct with him,
yeah,
like this is
more
what I
so this
need.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
even
it
more so
doesn't
this time.
and it doesn't mean that years on things don't
Yeah,
change like they did with your
yeah,
mom.
yeah,
Again.
this is it. You don't know, you don't know what's down the road. But for now, that I've closed the chapter on.
Wow. Well, that's a brave, kind of big emotional
Yeah,
decision, isn't it? And I
yeah,
appreciate you sharing that. And I think it's also highlights that even though you'd say that you're more or less recovered, it doesn't mean that the emotional work around this stuff
yeah.
is
It
over.
doesn't stop. Yeah, yeah.
And it's like the rest of our lives continuing
We're
to
we're we're, we're we're doing this,
build the
and
skills.
and shining light on that, Charlie. I said I haven't done anything, but I have, because I was in the bath a couple of days ago, and I got back, and I was reflecting on it. It's maybe it just come into my head about my dad, around about that done X, Y, and Z, and I've tried this, so I'm still doing that emotional work there. That I just want
Amazing.
everybody to know that I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
I've not blocked that away
It's
in a
not
part of my
like I'm
brain.
done, like wrap it up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
like
yeah,
put it
yeah,
on the
yeah,
shelf.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's still
is
done.
is is it fair to say, Joe, that you were using your physical sensations in your body as a way to tune in to those emotional needs, and that you continue to do that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Recognizing that something's not quite right here, and I'm also making some changes in the new year from a work point of view, lifestyle point of view. We've talked about moving to France, me and my other half, in the next couple
Mm-hmm.
of years. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I'm looking forward to. When I'm work-wise, I'm transitioning towards that. We've joked about it recently. That I quite like to be near a beach. I like the outdoors. I can see that. So for me,
Maybe Biarritz. I want to
yeah, that
come visit
we've
you
thought
there.
about. Strangely enough, I was looking at properties there yesterday. So
Lovely.
that was great. So yeah, for sure, you can come. We can do some surfing.
Be great. Well,
Yeah,
how helpful it is, to have a clinician, a therapist, a friend, a partner, a family member, to be able to do this work in relationship, because we have blind spots. We can't always
yeah,
see that, like, oh, it's the flight. No, there's actually this other layer of my dad there, but you don't always know that unless
no,
you have someone
yeah,
else that you're doing it with. Is that
yeah, yeah. It is, because I obviously we've had COVID and stuff. Normally I'd go to Canada every 2 to 3 years and see the family. So it's a lot of we've had COVID. I bought a new house, which is required a lot of work. So I've been over for about 10 years,
Mhm.
and a lot changed in then 10 years. And the family, I was a bit worried about, they're going to ask me about my dad, and I was openly discussed. I had a chat with them about it, and rather than going, I didn't shut them down. I don't want to talk about it. I just thought I'll talk to them about it. This is what's happened. This is where we're at. Because I think sometimes, I think by shutting it down, you're shutting it down in part of your brain. You don't want to talk about it. Is he an element of, I've still not accepted what's happened yet?
It's almost like a form of exposure to
Yeah,
talk about it, and just instead of keeping it a secret, which is
yeah, yeah,
stressful, you made the choice to like say, no, this feels right, to like put it
yeah,
out there so we can then maybe put it away.
yeah. Obviously, like, I wouldn't project it on my own. I wouldn't just speak to a family member and go, this is what's happened. If they asked me, so I answered it, rather than, I don't want to talk about that, it's too much. I had the strength to talk about it. This is what's happened. This is what I've tried. It's not great, but the whole situation. But I am able to talk about it.
In a very mature way. And was that
Yes.
received with loving care and
Yeah. Yeah.
acceptance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Which
And
was
I,
which was
I, I
great.
think I think you always have to make decisions about, like, who am I going to share this with? Does this person need to know this? Is this a person that I feel safe and trust that I can share this information with? And there's no right answer, right? It's not
No.
like it's always the right thing to do exposure and to share it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the right thing to actually set a boundary and to not share it and to
Yeah.
protect it and keep it safe. And so again, like as people are getting back into their lives on the other side of recovering and they notice, wow, I'm not very good at setting boundaries, or I'm not very good at, um, you know, this behavior or that behavior, the work and the symptoms are a barometer in any given moment, often for what you need to do. The work is to continue to build the skill of awareness about what is needed in this situation. What is the right
Yeah.
thing for me if I'm operating in line with my values? What's the right thing in this situation? How do I make these decisions? And I really believe in my own life, and I see this with like my clients too, that the physical sensations are a compass. They are our way of learning how to make
Yeah.
those decisions, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I completely vouch in terms of like setting boundaries as well. So I think in terms of how I set boundaries, if it was my other half talking about my dad, or if my mum brings him up again, I'm able to set boundaries there. I'm like, come on, we don't need to revisit that again. Whereas if it's somebody new that I haven't seen for ages, like a family member in Canada, I'm quite happy to have a conversation with them. But if it's someone that that we've spoken to, we're revisiting old conversations again that we don't really need to revisit. I can set the boundaries and just say, let's just park the bus for that. I don't really want to talk about that again. We've already talked about it. It doesn't need to be talked about again.
Yeah, and is that a behavior that you might have been more reticent to do before
I
your pain
think I think
journey?
yeah, I think maybe what I would have done before is maybe engaged in it and become frustrated. Which probably put my brain on high alert.
And then regretted it
and then
later?
regretted it. Yeah, there's a lot of behaviours I've had to change. Overreacting to things.
Mm.
Um, whereas now, my other half's definitely noticed a big change in me. She said, "You're a lot." I was generous before, but she said you're a lot more generous now. And she said you're quite calm and subdued. You're just very settled in terms of you don't really overreact like you used to. If something went wrong, you go,
Lucky
"Oh,
lady,
yeah, yeah,
lucky
yeah,
lady.
yeah,
You're a
yeah,
little more, you're a little more laid back. Is that
yeah, yeah,
accurate?
yeah, yeah, yeah."
And
I think so.
would you say, we talked earlier about how this is like self-improvement or growth. Some people don't like the idea of that because it feels
Yeah.
like pressure and like,
Yeah,
put and pushing. Would you though say that you feel like you're living more in line with your true self? Like you're getting to know who Joe is meant to be without all the early conditioning,
yeah,
without all the encumbered, things from the
yeah,
past. Does it feel that way to you now?
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of that has changed as well.
Like this is me. I'm home. Like this is
This is me now, and I think I don't put as much pressure on myself now. Especially in the work I'm doing. Before maybe up until February, it was very much I need to do this, I need to do that. I've got to get this piece of work done. I need to do this work on holiday. Whereas like now, it can wait. My time's valuable. My time's important. I'll
yeah.
finish work and I'll go to the gym. And I'm trying to have a little bit more break from the phone as well. By putting the phone upstairs. Because again, it can constantly checking your phone, checking emails. It can put your brain on high alert.
I think we're starting to see more and more of the research on how
Yeah,
insidious and how toxic that can be.
yeah, absolutely. Like just going, I'm just going to check how my page is doing. Just keep going on the page, or check how that. You can wait. We've put the page up, let people see it. Can respond tomorrow.
Yeah, there's
So
so much information out there. It's just constantly being bombarded. Eddie Lindenstein. I don't know if you know Eddie Lindenstein.
no,
He
no,
has
no.
a great podcast. It's more athlete oriented. He's a
Yeah,
weightlifter. He's a great
yeah,
guy, but he just made a post yesterday about this scary experience he had, and he was just saying like in modern day life we're all so busy that we almost don't even take time to process these scary things that happen or these hard emotional things that happen. It's like life is so busy that we just feel like we need to move on. Like
yeah,
we don't have time to stop. We don't have time to go
Yeah.
back because
Yeah.
there's so much information coming at us. And when he said that, it kind of really struck me. It's again one of those things that we just get used to it, but in getting used to it, we miss the reality. Like it's not great. It's not
Well,
healthy.
is a good example, like not being corny or anything, but like, do you know, like when you, it's like when I was sat in Canada, as you well, you know what it's like. There's a lot of greenery, there's a lot of land, and like I bet a lot of people would lose that contact with seeing the land. They just play on, if they're a passenger in a car, I'm just going to go on Instagram, I'm just going to check Facebook on the internet. So I thought I'm on holiday, I'm not been to see the family in 10 years. I'm going to put the phone in the pocket, and I'm just going to have a look and see how I get to the next destination. Have a look outside. You appreciate it a lot more.
Slowing down,
Slowing down, yeah,
really
yeah. It's part of the process, isn't
being
it?
in the present moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
taking the time.
yeah. Acknowledging that.
And you feel like you're doing that more in your life now
Yeah.
than you were before.
Oh, certainly, yeah, certainly. I think the holiday has helped again. I think
Hmm.
it's holidays, it's part of your tool set. Taking time off for yourself.
Yeah, I think it can be seen for a lot of people that are in on their journey right now as like being
Yeah,
lazy or it's kind of boring.
yeah,
When you're doing self-care, acts of self-care like this, where you're slowing down and you're being creating more spaciousness, it can almost feel boring and threatening and
yeah,
scary
yeah,
for
yeah,
people when they're not used to it.
yeah. When they have to slow
Um,
down.
yeah, and so that's a real skill to develop. It turns out your ability to put your phone away and watch less news and right and
Really
create.
important. Just
Hmm.
being able to slow down. If you've
But
been in quite a high-paced job.
but surprisingly hard to do, right?
Oh yeah, I've had difficulties with that in the past where I've gone, oh, brain's back on high alert because I'm slowing down. I'm not in my usual high pace environment.
Vigilant,
Yeah, vigilant.
creating, producing. Yeah,
I'm not giving my brain time to think about things.
I just saw a great podcast interview, and maybe we can put it in the
Yeah,
listing
sure.
on YouTube about Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning and this idea that finding meaning and purpose is so important, but there's a point where it almost goes too far in the opposite direction,
Yeah,
where we're searching so hard for meaning and purpose. We're trying to be so productive. We're trying to fill up our life so much that it actually has the opposite effect. So,
yeah,
like with everything in this work, we're trying to get out of dichotomous black and white thinking
yeah,
that this is right and this is wrong, and trying to find some like what's the meaty middle ground of yes, of course you need meaning and purpose, but you also need, you know, downtime and relaxation time and purposeless time.
yeah. It's important. I like I like to have a bit of a chill before bedtime. Well, that's just watching television downstairs for an hour, but enjoying it, watching a show. What's part of my winding down process, letting the brain know that it's ready for bed. I don't watch any television in bed. I do that downstairs. It's just I'm just letting the brain know that we're settling down now. We're getting ready for bed,
Yeah. I
and it
think the other thing
works.
that I think the other thing that happens as we get older, right, is we get more like fixed, rigid into certain routines. Like this is what I do, and I just do this,
Yeah,
and this is me, this is who I am. And one
yeah,
thing I feel like is really important to me is to just really try to um, keep questioning that. Like, is this really what's right for me right now?
yeah,
Because it is a moving
yeah,
target, and I do feel
yeah,
like, as I said before, my nervous system is wired for novelty. It's wired for variety. And while something could be right at one time of year, right, you get later in the year and suddenly you're having maybe symptoms because your brain is like, I don't want to watch Netflix for an hour every
yeah,
night. I want
yeah,
to go do this
yeah,
other thing instead. I'd like to do some art, or I'd like to
yeah,
work with clay, or I'd like to,
yeah,
you know, learn a new skill. So
yeah,
I try really hard to stay tuned into ruts. I don't
yeah.
want to get into ruts in my life, and because I think
I'm
they
doing a
cause
lot of that now.
stress. Are you?
They do, they do, yeah, they do. I think again, I think the last few weeks of recognizing that there's a few changes I'll make in the new year. Feel like I'm getting in a bit of a rut with some things, day to day stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I think I need a change now. I'm ready
All
for a
right.
change.
So to wrap this up, give us a couple things that you're looking at that you might add into your life.
Yeah, so I'm looking to trying to do some climbing next year. So, you know, not Everest, but I just want to add something a bit. I like walking, but just getting a bit bored of that. So I think I'm
You want
going
to
to
get
take it up a
higher.
level. I want to get back higher. I want to do some rock climbing. Maybe I'll come
Nice.
and visit you one day.
You should. That's what I
Do
was doing last
you
night.
know do some climbing and obviously with transitioning towards moving to France. So that'll be my other change. We'll carry on with that. Look into that a little bit more in
Surfing,
the new year. Yeah, more surfing, being by the beach. So I think so.
croissants.
Oh, amen. Espressos. Not too many though.
That's cool. Well, I hope you won't wait until the new year, you know. Don't put
Oh
pressure
yeah,
on
yeah,
that
yeah,
date.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that's another
Start
thing that can keep the brain on high alert. Start now.
start whenever you're called to start.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
put pressure on a certain date.
No, no. I'll be looking at beer Ritz. So there you go. Already
Oh, well,
planning.
I'm voting. That put my vote in for Biarritz.
You
And
can come and
yeah,
visit us.
man, I would love that. And you come visit anytime.
Oh,
It'd
for
be
sure.
great.
That'll be great. That'll be great.
Joe, thanks for taking time to do a part two here and chat. Maybe we can
That's super.
just check in periodically and
Sounds good.
continue the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really,
More than love
really
to.
appreciate you.
Yeah. No, thanks, Charlie. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
brother. We'll talk soon.